Hello, gentle people, and welcome to another Sparrow Art Vibes video tutorial. If this is your first time joining me, I hope that you will see something that inspires you to create something beautiful. And if you are a returning subscriber viewer, again, I hope you too are inspired to create something as beautiful as this resin chessboard. So for today's video tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make the chess pieces as well as the checker pieces that complement or match this set. And then tell you how to avoid this, where you wind up with pieces that have no tops on them because you have air bubbles in your items. This is what we want to avoid. I have tons and tons of these from when I first started doing this, and you wind up losing part of your piece. That is not a good thing. A lot of them, just headless is what I call them. So I'm going to be showing you how, again, to make these and avoid having this happen. The first set that I did, the very first set of chess pieces I poured, there are 12 pieces and 6 of the 12 lost their heads. So I'm going to move this stuff out of here. We're going to take a look at the materials that we need, and then I will be creating the pieces that go with this board. Okay. All right, so of course the first thing we need are the molds for the chess pieces. Mine come in this box. You'll find some sets that give you halves and then you have to put them together. I personally like the one-piece ones better because you can never line them up if you have to put two halves together. But I have two sets because I got one set for one color, one set for the other color. So we need our chess molds, chess piece, and then we are doing checkers as well. And so my checkers I have stored in this Ziploc bag. We of course need our resin, and it's the Craft Smart resin. That's the part A, and the part B hardener. And I'm using 2 small measuring cups because the chess pieces need 120 milliliters of resin, and this is 100, and I don't have anything where I can accurately mix another 20, so I'm using 2 cups, one for 100, one for the 20. I'll need 2 stir sticks, need my nitro gloves, and then just like with the board, we are using the Eye Candy Barney Purple and the Eye Candy Aura Gold. We will also need 2 cups. And the thing that has made the biggest difference in my ability to create chess pieces without them getting all broken up is by using a mold release lubricant. I happen to use a Pell. I have no brand loyalty. But you need a mold release lubricant, and this is an aerosol. This is a spray. And so, can you still see that? Scoop this all up so make sure you can see that mold release lubricant. All right, so that's it. That's what we have for materials. Okay, so time to mix our resin. These chess pieces need 120 milliliters of resin. And so I'm going to mix 100 in one container, 20 in another container, and then pour them into a cup. Again, I always mark on my container the amounts I need so that I don't have any confusion. There you go. So we're going to start with part B, the hardener. So 50 milliliters of hardener in this cup. And we only need 10 over here. And then our part A, 50 over here. And then 10 over here. As in every video, I always encourage you to make sure that you read the instructions because each manufacturer's instructions are different. We are working with CraftSmart. Again, their mixing ratio is a 1-to-1 mix ratio, and they want you to mix for a minimum of 5 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to mix the first one. Okay, so now we are going to add our Barney purple mica powder to this cup. And mica powder, this mica powder is really richly pigmented, so you don't need a lot, and because this is going to be a solid, you don't have to be quite so generous. When I first started working with mica powder and didn't understand how rich this was, I actually would test my colors. Let me show you. I would actually test my colors on a piece of ceramic tile. The old ones have long since been thrown away, but I just put a drop on there and see how dark that is. Okay, that's very light. So we're going to add some more mica powder to this. But I've been doing this for a little while now, and so now I pretty much know how much mica powder to add to get the color, the depth that I want. Sometimes you want it to be light and almost transparent, which is what that is, and then other times you want it to be deeper, richer. So let me show you the difference. Yep, so you can readily see the difference in those two colors. So we're going with the darker one. And so now that this has been mixed, the next thing we need to do is spray each of these with the mold release. Now I'm going to tell you, if you look at any of my first videos, you will see that I was putting these things in soapy water, trying to get the pieces out of these molds. I was prying them out. It was just crazy. Now that I have the mold release, it's easier. So we're just going to spray inside each of these, and I like to kind of squish it around to make sure it got down into the bottom. And you can hear it kind of squish. Okay, so once these are sprayed, then it's a matter of just pouring the resin into these. Now, here's the thing. All of these that you see, you've got different color golds here, you've got some purple, you've got gray. I have a whole collection. And then they're the tops. They just snap off. And this is because of air bubbles that are inside those molds. So when you are pouring, like they taught us in science class in middle school, you want to be pouring down the side of your mold, not straight into the center. So when I pour this, I am turning this on the side, and then I am slowly pouring so that as the resin goes in, it forces the air out. Get a little bit in there, a little bit more. Okay. Now that's in there, and then what you need to do is squeeze. Squeeze the bottom so that any air that might be in there comes up and out. And again, you want to pour on the side. That's important, pouring on the side, because as this resin goes in, the air will push out. And while I'm going to be making purple checker pieces, again, you have a limited amount of working time with your resin. And then you can actually, if you hold these up to the light, you can see whether or not you have air in the bottom. Okay, so again, we're pouring on the side so that as the resin goes in, it should be pushing the air out. And then once you have it in there, squeeze. I don't know if you can see the air bubbles. I don't want to turn that and have that spill. See that big old bubble? Big old bubble. Squeeze those air bubbles out, then continue pouring. And then we just run the heat gun across. See all those bubbles on there? We just want to get rid of. So the purple are done. Now we need to mix for the gold. So we're going to repeat the same process. Mix 120 milliliters. We're going to pour both of these into the same cup. And our 20. And 5 minutes. Alright, and so now we are going to, our resin is mixed, now we're going to do our Aura Gold. And once this is mixed, then we need to spray our pieces, spray our mold pieces. So again, give this a good little shake. Okay, and so now I don't have to talk this through. You've seen me do it with the purple. So now we're going to just pour the gold. Again, we're pouring with the mold laying on its side so that as the resin goes in, the air goes out, and then we'll pinch the bottom to get rid of any so you've now seen me do this already, so I don't need to talk through it again. Just remind you that when you are pouring with the mold laying down, not straight up. You want it laying down, so as the resin goes in, it forces the air out. The first horse piece I made had no face. There was a big air bubble here. There's just a great big hole left there. don't know, can you hear my alarm going off? Let me go turn the alarm off. Okay, and so now I just go back and top all of these off. Alrighty, and so now we're just run the heat, and then we'll do the checkers. Alrighty, let me get the checkers out. Okay, so now it's time for us to make the checkers, and these are quite simple. Make sure all these molds are clean, and then I'm just going to spray the molds with the mold release. It does not need it, but these molds are getting old, so a little spritz just saves the mold, makes it last a little longer. And one set of checkers requires 40 milliliters of resin. So we're going to go ahead and mix 80 and mix all of this at one time. So again, I need 80, so I'm going to mark 40 and 80 on my cup. And we are going to pour 40 milliliters of part B. And 40 milliliters of part A. This out of the way some. Pull these back out of the way some. Okay, so we have our 5 minutes to mix. Okay, so we are going to just divide this resin. Since we need 40 milliliters, we're going to just split this in half. A little bit more. I think that's 50. That's about 40. Now they didn't, the customer didn't request any glitter or any crushed glass or anything in these, but so they're not just plain ordinary gold and purple, I am going to do the colors twice. So we are going to put just a dash of the Barney, where's the front? The Barney purple in here. So this will be more like a lavender. Okay, so let me move that a little bit, move that a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just pour some of this in each of these molds, and then I'm going to take what's left and add some more mica powder to it to make it darker, so that you kind of have a two-tone effect on these. So we'll do. Okay, and now we're going to add some more purple to this so that this bottom half is going to be darker. And that's the way we're going to make this look a little. Okay, so that's the purple. So let's color the gold. And we're going to do the same thing. Just a little bit of our aura gold in here so that this is light. And let's see. Just to try and keep the colors a little more separated. I'm just elevating these a little bit to keep the light color from running all the way over. So we're going to pour our light gold. Oh, that's almost translucent. So now I'm going to add some more aura gold to this to make it darker. Ooh, that's a lot darker. That's a lot darker. This matches. This matches the chess pieces. Okay. Okay, and then we're just topping these off. But the division between the two goals, doing it this way, is much clearer. Yeah, we don't want just plain solid gold. We want something to give it a little more pizzazz, so that little lighter piece will create more interest. Alright, and then we're just going to hit these with the heat gun and then allow them to cure. Alrighty, so we are done, and then we'll come back this evening and we will unmold these. Hello, gentle people. It is the next day, and so we are going to unmold these, and so we know the checkers are not a problem. There's a little checker there. These pop right out of here really nicely. And again, I'll do a close-up so you can see how just the top edge is lighter than the rest of the checker. Just, again, trying to create a little bit of interest since we were only using one color. So these come right out of here. Love that. And those all look good. I'm going to put my pieces back in the bag, and then I'll clean these off later. Okay, so now the challenge. Which ones do we try first? Let's move these out the way, move these out the way. And let's see, these are the ones that always lose their heads. Let's see how many of these actually stay. Okay, there's one. I work real hard to try and keep the air out the bottom of these. Oops, there's two. Alrighty, we got a full set and didn't lose anybody's head. So I'm telling you that mold release really makes a difference, and pressing the air out of the bottom of the mold, getting rid of those air bubbles, makes all the difference in the world. Mold release and getting rid of air bubbles. If someone said, what's your secret to not wasting resin and losing pieces, that's what I would say: mold release and making sure you get rid of air bubbles. And if you're using a tool like I'm doing right now, be very careful, because I did tear a mold, tear a hole in a mold doing it this way. But again, we have a full set. We did not lose a single piece. Look at that. Woo-woo! So again, this is what learning is about. None of this with the broken pieces. None of this, you know, the tops popping, oops, the tops popping off. Got a whole set right there. I did good. All right, so now let's see if we have the same success. Let's see if we have the same success with the purple. That's 3. Okay, they all came out just fine. So let's do the royalty. So this is one of the benefits of watching videos like these, like mine, is that you learn the better way, the best way to create something, to eliminate waste. If you think in terms, and this is not the whole cup, of all of these pieces that broke when I was unmolding them. This, I mean, what, a set takes 120 milliliters of resin, and I mean, this is money that's just, this is money wasted. That's just money wasted. But you see, I'm not wasting money anymore. And our last piece. Actually, this is the one that I said I tore a hole in. Can you see that? Right there. So again, if you're prying, you really do have to be careful. Ooh. Ah, shinny. Look, I just tore the whole thing. Whoops. Well, we have 2 full sets. We didn't waste any resin. We didn't lose any pieces. But unfortunately, I just tore my mold to shreds. So this is trash. This is trash. All right, that's in the trash. Okay, so the last thing we need to do now is attach felt to the bottom of these. You can use any kind of glue you want to attach your felt to your pieces. You know, the white PVA glue, the Elmer's glue, those all work fine. I buy the Aleene's Felt and Foam Tacky Glue, and what I discovered was When this dry, Elmer's glue, when it dries on the felt, your felt is hard on the bottom. When this dries, the felt is still soft. So I like the finish that this gives. So we are going to start, let's start with the purple. And I just cut one little strip, and then I cut this strip in half, and then I cut that strip in half, and then I cut that in half. Oh, there we go. So I just cover the bottom, put that on there and set that there. Bottom, and set that there. Bottom. And so I glue the felt to the bottoms of all of them, and then I come back and I trim the excess. Okay, these couple of pieces, I don't know if you can see that, have a few air bubbles right along the edge. So I'm just going to take that Dremel and get rid of those air bubbles real fast. Okay, so those are the purple. So let's do the gold. And so again, I cut one strip, and then I cut that strip in half, and then I cut each of those strips in half, and then I cut those two in half. So half, and then half again. I am thrilled that we did not lose any of our chess pieces. So when I'm telling you how I've learned air bubbles, air bubbles and mold release make all the difference in the world. Getting rid of air bubbles, let me be clear, getting rid of air bubbles. I just realized when I did my materials, I didn't include the glue. So keep that in mind, that you do need glue to attach the felt. Oh, let's see, this needs... got two more that have a little white Okay, so now that the felt is attached to all of these, then I simply go back and again, these are square, and so then I just go back and I just trim. So we were talking about pricing last week. A friend of mine and I were talking about pricing and talking about how much time it really takes to complete these sets. And you know that when you look at my pricing, it doesn't really cover all of this time, all of this detailed work. Want that trimmed. And so now let's get the gold ones done. Okay, we are done. Chess pieces poured, every one of them came out just fine. All now have felt on the bottom. Checker pieces are here. So this is it. We are done. Everything worked out just fine. I am thrilled.